Hi, folks. Hope you're okay. Well, I don't like to talk about this, but I do think it needs to be talked about. First of all, about Dr. Stephen Nichols. Dr. Stephen Nichols is an eminent servant of the Lord. Let me just see. Eminent servant of the Lord. So I just want to show you a little bit, a few years, and then we get a context.
Had an increasing opportunity to spend time together because Ligonier has been doing more and more of these always ready youth apologetics events. And we've been traveling across the US, even internationally. We were in Canada earlier this year. And what's interesting as I was reflecting on these always ready events where we're helping young people, middle schoolers, high schoolers, not only better understand the essentials of the gospel, but also helping them to defend their faith. At the end of these events, similar to tonight, we have this open mic time where they can ask any biblical or theological question. And I think it was 2016 when these first began. So we've been doing these for quite a while. But over the last few years, increasingly, the questions, the kinds of questions that are being asked of us has changed significantly and noticeably, haven't they?
Yeah, we've all sensed this cultural change.
So this is the guy, Stephen Nichols here.
And we've sensed the transgenderism and the same-sex issues. And this change has had such a rapidity. And I think we have to realize that the bulk of this change has fallen really heavy upon teenagers and upon our youth. And so we get a lot of questions. And I really enjoy doing these events with you because I think...
So Dr. Nichols, Stephen Nichols, is eminent in the Reformed community. He has done seminal work, leading Ligonier Ministries, lecturing at the Reformed Bible College. The guy is a man of great integrity, and he's done a great work for the Lord. So that's the context there. So now I just want to show you this. So this is a police cam, and we're just going to see he goes into the police station. And the context is he believes, it is allegedly believes that his daughter, when she was about 11 or 12, was abused by the youth worker at St. Andrews, allegedly. Okay, allegedly. All right. So he comes to the police, and I want to show you this. So this is him at the police station.
Unfortunately, we can step outside if you'd like. That's about it. Yeah, we can step outside. I'll be up front. Okay. No, it's fine. What's going on?
So I'm Steve.
Okay. No, you're all right. What's going
on? We suspect she was sexually abused.
Okay.
12, 11, we don't know.
Okay, when she was 12 or 11? Okay.
Or possibly after.
Okay.
By her
By her youth
youth pastor.
pastor.
Got you. Okay.
He is currently still a youth pastor.
Okay.
And we're currently in the
Oh,
church.
there you see there. You don't.
So she had...
This is on Rose report.
She was,
So that's the context there. So I want to just talk about this. So what the situation, from what I've gathered, is basically his daughter was going to a counsellor for counselling, and the counsellor came to the conclusion that his daughter, Dr. Nichols' daughter, been abused, and specifically named the youth pastor of St. Andrews. He felt that was the person that's done it. So his daughter doesn't want to go public to the police, which has tied Dr. Nichols' hands and his wife's hands in that situation. But what it has led to is St. Andrews Legionnaires Ministries and the Reformation Bible College have suspended Dr. Nichols. They've suspended him. He's not done anything, but they've suspended him. His daughter, the counsellor believes, was abused. The counsellor has a specific person that they feel they have evidence for, which is the youth worker. Allegedly, put in allegedly. And then Dr. Nichols brings it to the St. Andrews' attention, and he is suspended. Not only suspended from church, but suspended from Ligonier Ministries, suspended from being the head of the Reformation Bible College or significant leader in the Reformation Bible College. To me, this is systemic of some Reformed pastoral care, that the Reformed community is not good at dealing with pastoral issues, because you can go to seminary and get a degree and get an MA and then become a pastor, but you obviously have not had much experience in life. And obviously these pastors, leaders at St. Andrews, at Ligonier Ministries and the Reformation Bible College, I mean, I've had great respect for these institutions, but they obviously have no common sense. They have no understanding of pastoral care. A man of this excellence, a man of this integrity, to be dismissed from church and to be dismissed from the Ligonier Ministries and to be dismissed from the Reformation Bible College, it's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Now, apparently the youth worker is saying that he's been stalked, that he categorically denies whatever, right? But the point is, it should have been dealt with in a very practical way. In a very practical way. And instead, it's just led to no compassion, no understanding, no proper investigation. Instead, it's led to Nichols, Dr. Nichols, his wife being suspended from St. Andrews and being suspended from Ligonier Ministries and Reformation Bible College. To me, that is not the love of God. That is not pastoral ministry. That is fascism. That is cold-blooded, hard-cold Phariseeism, and that kind of behavior by those institutions. And it pains me to say it, because these institutions, I've respected them and honored them for many, many years, over 35 years. These institutions have been tremendous. But they've dropped the ball here. The Reformed community has a problem in the area of pastoral care. Often the men that get into the ministry are men that don't have any experience about life. Generally speaking, they do not have much experience of life. They are not competent people, generally speaking, not all. I have a friend who's got cancer, and the church there, the pastor there and in Manchester, practical man, has shown a lot of pastoral care and understanding. He's a Reformed pastor. So it's not all the Reformed community. But the Reformed community generally has not got common sense and practical ways of dealing with these kind of situations. They hide behind the so-called machinery, but the reality is they have very, very little experience of life. And you can know the Bible inside and out, but if you don't understand people, and if you don't know how to talk to people, if you don't know how to shepherd people and understand people and be compassionate, then it doesn't matter how much doctrine you know, it doesn't matter how much you know the Bible, you're going to be very harsh, unforgiving, and destroy people's lives. And very often, Reformed pastoral care can lead to destroying people's lives. I mean, there was a situation at Grace Church, at John MacArthur's church, where somebody wanted to say about the husband that they were involved in abuse, and they were told to shut up, and they were censored. Those kind of things, you know. So my challenge to the Reformed community is the Pharisees often thought they had it all sussed, but they didn't. To destroy this man's career, to kick this man out of church, to destroy this man's living, to take him out of Ligonier Ministries, and to destroy his lecturing at Bible college is an absolute huge scandal, and says more about the institutions than it does about this man. And sad to say, the reason why the Reformed community does not impact Britain the way it should, and doesn't impact the United States as it should, is precisely because of this shenanigans that's going on. The reason why the Reformed community does not have an impact in Scotland or Wales is because of this, because they're so wrapped up in their machinery, their ecclesiastical synodary machinery, that can be a graveyard, that can be a scrapyard, which crushes people and destroys people, because it lacks compassion and it lacks practical experience in life. And so I've seen where people's marriages have been destroyed by these kind of synods, because they're not looking at it with compassion and looking at it from a practical understanding of experience in life, but they're looking at it through the lens of the ecclesiastical machinery and a warped view of Reformed theology that lacks the practical care of the parishioners. And so I'm grieved and sad to see Dr. Stephen Nichols go through this, and his wife. And it's an absolute disgrace, and it shows where St. Andrews is, where Ligonier Ministries is, and where the Reformation Bible College is. This guy's done nothing seriously wrong, nor his wife, to warrant that kind of destroying of his life. It's not him who's done anything wrong or being accused of anything wrong. It's the youth worker. Whether the youth worker has done something wrong or not, there is no suspicion on this couple. They are just bringing it to light. They're bringing the issue to light. Now, whether they've done it in a proper way or not, that's a minor issue. It's not an issue to destroy the man and his wife, kick them out of church, kick them out of the Ligonier Ministries, and kick them out of a Reformation Bible College. It's disgraceful. It shows a lack of compassion, a lack of love, a lack of understanding. I'll say it again, and you can hang me on it if you want. I don't care. But the Reformed community, the Calvinistic Reformed community, are very, very poor when it comes to pastoral care. They are very, very poor because they lack men who are practical, who have experience of life. It's not enough just to go to seminary and then get a degree and then get an MA and get a PhD and then become a professor and lecture in a theological college and then become a pastor. You need experience of life, and you have to understand people. And a lot of these pastors have gone through that sausage machine. And then this is the kind of nonsense that you get. How many of the men that have done this to this man? How many of them have had actual experience of life? How many of them know how to deal with people? I guarantee few amongst them, if you did your research. And it's not enough to be a solicitor or a doctor, and then some of the doctors and some of the solicitors, just because you're educated and you've got you're a doctor or you're a solicitor, and then you went to Reformed Seminary and you got your degree and your MA, then you became a pastor. Very often doctors and solicitors can be people who are just live in ivory tower, and they don't know how to deal with people, really speaking. So I'm very, very sad, very, very sad. But there's always been this issue amongst the Reformed community where you feel when you're in the Reformed community, you're in the midst of MI5, you're in the midst of MI6 or the FBI. You don't feel you're in the midst of a people that want to welcome you and are going to stand with you, because they certainly didn't stand with Dr. Nichols, who was one of their own, who was a man of great integrity and had done great work. I think it's an absolute disgrace. And I don't care if any Calvinist or Reformed people don't want to speak to me. I don't care. Because your pastoral care stinks to high heaven. And this is a reflection on the theological seminaries of the Reformed community. It's not enough to be studying J. Adams and think you can, because you've studied J. Adams, you're competent to do some counseling. Yeah. Their daughter was a victim of abuse. And who got excommunicated? The family got excommunicated. If you go on my post, if you go on my YouTube post, you'll get some information there. And also, if you go to the Roy report, so you can get a little bit of the background here.
12-year-old.
So they're reporting to the police now.
Running 5Ks. Sweet, beautiful.
Gotcha.
This happens. She goes hospitalized.
Okay.
Arnold Palmer a couple times. Went to a disorder clinic for a couple months in Texas. Right. Then it's cutting. So
Okay.
bad. Then we go arms. Then we go to
We consulted a counselor to help deal with those behaviors. That is what you're supposed to do.
Got you. Yeah.
Treatment.
and he's very helpful to her. And around January of last year, he said to my wife,
The counselor.
He told us that he was filing a report with the DCF.
Mm-hmm.
Counselor is reported to the police
Sexual abuse by this youth pastor.
by the youth pastor.
That, and the reason
Allegedly.
is that she requested, after all of this counseling, can I get counseling for sexual abuse by this man without triggering an investigation? At which point, he said, I need to report this.
Yeah.
Yes. And he did, but he said,
and he told us he would be doing it.
Yeah.
On
He
our
also
behalf
said,
too.
This alleged victim is not willing to talk.
And that she's fragile.
And she's very fragile. And sure enough, the behaviors escalated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since then, she has
basically,
closed up.
Okay.
Unwilling to talk.
Right.
We have.
basically, this couple, they go to the police. They're reporting the abuse. Their daughter's counsellor is the one that told the parents that he thinks their daughter's been abused by the youth worker. Because the girl has confessed it. So allegedly about the youth worker, we'll put that there just in case for legal reasons. We'll put allegedly. But they're reporting it. And they go to the church, and the church excommunicate. Now they can come up with all reasons. Maybe they didn't go about it the right way. Let's put that on the table. But their daughter is distraught. Have a bit of compassion, for goodness sake. Have a bit of compassion. So that's it really, folks. I've always felt, I've been reformed for 35 years in theology, and I've always had this issue, question mark, with the reformed community, that the very hard line, not all of them, there's some good reformed pastors and reformed people, but they can be very hard line, very judgmental, and absolutely pathetic when it comes to dealing with pastoral care. If you did an investigation of Presbyterian and Reformed Baptist synods and their pastoral dealings with people's marriages broken up, if you did an actual investigation, you'll find a lot of car crashes of marriages, and it's not because of the couple, it's because of the institution of their synods that didn't know how to deal with issues and made it 10 times worse than it actually was. Go and do your research and you'll find it. I know examples of it personally, of people who went through the sausage machine of these synods and came out worse in their marriages because they don't know how to deal with things. But it has to be said, there has always been in the Reformed community for the last 35 years a crisis in pastoral care, because many of these pastors do not know much about practical life and do not know how to put into practice what the Bible says. They're very good with their Reformed theology and their machinery, and they like to put people they like to buttonhole people and do the J. Adams shuffle, but they do not really know how to deal with people. And look at this. A man who was eminent in their movement, a man who lectured and did great work at a Reformation Bible College, great work for Ligonier Ministries, thrown out onto the street. His whole ministry, his whole life completely destroyed, while he's dealing with his daughter who's been abused. That sums up the Reformed pastoral care in America and the United Kingdom today, for me. That has always been the case. I always knew it, but this is another example, another proof to me. And then the Reformed community in America and in Britain will never, ever, ever have an impact in the nation until they get their own house in order. When you think about it, when you think about it, most people, if they want to go to church, do not think of going to a Reformed church, generally speaking. Why is that? Because of the CIA, FBI kind of mentality of judging you all the time before you even get to sit down and relax and just listen to the hymns and the preaching of the word. You think I'm being harsh? Well, I'm not as harsh of what they've been to this couple. What happened to this couple is a disgrace, and I'm very, very grieved. I'm very, very upset that this has happened to Dr. Nichols. And I pray that God will be with them and comfort them and encourage them and help them at this time. But shame on St. Andrews, shame on Ligonier Ministries, shame on the Reformation Bible College.